this surveillance camera footage, which has been posted to YouTube, we see employees at a company on the island of Cebu in the Philippines panic and run when the first tremors hit. The tourist destination was struck by a powerful earthquake Tuesday morning, followed by severe aftershocks. The deadly earthquake has claimed numerous victims, and whilst emergency services were quick to arrive at the scene to help those trapped in the rubble, web users have been launching and circulating appeals for help via the social network hashtag RescuePH, a scheme set up last year with the government's blessing when massive flooding brought chaos to the capital, Manila. After the initial shock started to set in, local web users began to take stock of the damage. Collapsed buildings, cracked roads and vehicles buried under the debris. The material damage is extensive, and residents are particularly saddened by the impact on historical monuments. The Labok Church in Bohol, which was built in the 17th century during the Spanish colonial era, has been particularly badly hit. As we can see in these photos that have been widely relayed on social media platforms, the place of worship's front section collapsed during the earthquake. According to these documents published by the Washington Post this week, the US National Security Agency, the NSA, collected contact lists belonging to millions of web users. And with fresh revelations about the spying programs operated by US intelligence services emerging all the time, all sorts of initiatives are now being set up all over the world so that people can go about their online business undetected by US electronic surveillance. A number of operators and access providers in Germany recently implemented a security tool to protect their clients' emails. Emails which will now be encrypted and stored in servers within the country, so as to reduce the risk of the data being intercepted abroad. Having been directly targeted by the US spying program, the president of Brazil, Dilma Rousseff, is also intent on defending the country from cyberspying. She posted a message on Twitter on Sunday saying she wanted to tighten up security to better protect government electronic communications. The head of state has also announced Brazil will hold a global summit on internet governance next year. The NSA leaks have indeed prompted a rethinking of US control over the internet's infrastructure. A number of institutions set up by the US government to regulate the internet, like ICANN, for example, which oversees the allocation of domain names, are calling for internet control and their duties to be globalized with a view to handing over to the UN at a later date. Strikes, roadblocks, protests against absurd measures. Is the Ollanta Nardin government deaf or just incapable of governing? This message, criticising the Peruvian president Ollanta Humala, was posted to Twitter by his predecessor, Alberto Fujimori. The former head of state, who's currently serving a 25-year prison sentence for corruption and crimes against humanity, isn't permitted to give interviews or make public statements. But this clearly hasn't stopped him from taking to the web to comment on current events in Peru from his prison cell. Alberto Fujimori published his memoirs online at the end of September and also uses the net to voice his political opinions. And although the authorities aren't happy about this, there's nothing they can do. As the former president's lawyer told local press, he uses a public payphone in the prison to pass on messages to his friends and family, who then post them to Twitter, Facebook and YouTube. And as we can hear in this audio recording posted to Google's video sharing service, Alberto Fujimori uses these accounts to defend his 10 years in office as leader of Peru, particularly as far as the economy and security are concerned. The online charm offensive could well be part of a plan to garner public support for the former head of state's bid to have his prison term switched to house arrest. He did ask for a presidential pardon on health grounds back in June, but the request was rejected. Here's the latest offering from popular YouTube regular Devin Supertramp. Spectacular images of base jumpers throwing themselves off a bridge or from a hot air balloon. This action-packed clip will be a surefire hit with adrenaline junkies everywhere.